So, in today's episode of Before You Ride, we're going to be answering the question of what type of dirt bike maintenance is my dirt bike going to need? So, the first thing to keep in mind is, they're obviously a motorsport, so they have engines and they're going to need gas. So, you're going to need to keep in mind that you're going to be getting gas for your dirt bikes. I don't know if that really qualifies as any sort of maintenance, but it is something to keep in mind. The next thing would be where they run on the engines. You're going to need to be changing your oil time to time when it needs it. And so if you have a two-stroke, all that you're really going to need to be changing is your transmission oil, because you mix your oil in with your gas, and that's where the engine oil is getting its oil. If you're riding a four-stroke, you're going to need to change the engine and transmission oil just like you would in a car. And then another pretty common maintenance thing that comes up in dirt bikes is the chain tends to get loose over a few rides, and so tightening the chain is another big thing in maintenance. And then the forks, where the compression is compressing all the time, they tend to build up a little bit of air into them, and so most forks will have a screw on each side of the forks that you can back out. It's called bleeding the forks. It's basically you just loosen a screw, it lets out all the excess air, and you tighten it back up and you're good to go. When you don't bleed your forks, they can start to feel not super responsive. Sometimes they feel kind of stiff or they're not reacting like they should be. And then where they are an engine, they have air filters for the air intake so that, dirt and things isn't going into the engine, and those tend to get dirty and you need to clean them and then re-oil them. And so that's another thing. I think there's some people that don't even clean the air filters. They just, when it gets dirty, they buy a new air filter that's already pre-oiled and put it on. It seems kind of wasteful to me, kind of a waste of money, a waste of resources, and so I don't know if I really recommend that. So another form of maintenance is going to need to be checking and cleaning your air filter whenever it gets dirty, because you obviously don't want any bit of dirt going into your engine. So now you're going to have just kind of the regular parts wearing out, kind of them reaching the end of their lifespan, because they can't really last forever. So for example, tires tend to wear out fairly quick, so replacing the tires is one thing. Most tires have tubes inside of them, so sometimes they can go flat. That kind of counts as another maintenance thing. And then you have your engine parts that will wear out over time because they only have so much of a lifespan. So usually once your bike gets to a certain amount of hours on it, it will need certain parts replaced and rebuilt. And then you have parts that can wear out on the chassis and the drivetrain. Just little things like that. They're not super immediate or happening all the time. But if you're someone who's riding a lot or you're keeping the bike for a really long time, you are going to have to keep in mind that eventually those things are going to have to be replaced. And so that kind of goes over all the questions and answers to what maintenance will I need to be doing on my dirt bike.